Welcome back to Half A Hot Rods. In this week's video, we had some problems with the automatic that is in this truck. So we tore into it a little bit and decided that the only logical thing to do is put a 5-speed in it.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cover the process as much as possible, including a pedal install, hydraulic clutch, and a later model 5-speed manual transmission. I'm just going to interrupt Wyatt's introduction here real quick to remind you to stick around to the end. I used to try and make sure I covered costs of the project at the end of each video, and I've kind of got away from that, but I want to get back to that now. I think you're going to be impressed at how cost effective it was for us to take this old 80s truck and put a 5-speed manual in it to make it 100% highway friendly and way cooler than its automatic counterparts. So stick around to the end and we'll go over all the numbers. So we haven't seen Wyatt's long bed project in a while, and the reason is once we got it running and driving, he was going back and forth to school with it a little bit. It started having problems with the overdrive automatic. It's a 700 R4. Those are controlled, the shifting is controlled by a TV cable. That stands for throttle valve. That's a valve inside the transmission. Has to be adjusted just right. And what we ended up with was it didn't want to shift out of first gear until like 30 miles an hour, no matter what the throttle position was. So we dug into it a little bit. We tried a different cable, an adjustable one, because this wasn't originally equipped with that transmission. Somebody put that in there. That didn't fix it. I'm like, well, let's pull the pan off, see if we can change just the throttle valve. There's an update kit you can put in there. I'd never done it, but I was willing to take a shot at it. And we pulled the pan off, and this is what we found. So we decided, yeah, it was going to need either a rebuilt transmission or a, maybe, what did you want to do?
5-speed.
A 5-speed manual. Because that's the less simple option.
But cooler.
Much cooler.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
Wyatt went and found a parts truck with a 4.3 and a 5-speed, later model.
All the way in Oklahoma.
All the way in Oklahoma. How far did you drive to get that?
About 2.5 hours one way.
And you'd made the deal before you went, right?
Yep.
And what was the deal?
The deal was I get the whole truck for $300, and I got there, and the dude had chopped the back half of the frame off right behind the cab because he said his dad needed the rear axle. And I told him that since half the truck is gone and you told me it was a small block and it's a V6, I'll give you $200 for it. And then we spent an hour and a half loading it up and it didn't work.
Yeah, so they got it home, got the engine and trans pulled out of it, and I'm like, you know, you're this cheap into this, we know a transmission guy, let's have him look at the manual before we put it in there and it doesn't work. So what happened then?
Took it to him, they found a crack on the shift top, like the housing, which he said was going to be hard to find, but it wasn't a big deal. And then 2 days later I get a text saying that 2 out of 4 synchros are bad and there's no reverse gear. So I asked him what rebuild price would be, and he told me it'd be about $1,000 just for parts.
So we reevaluated our choices then, and I thought he was going to go automatic, but
I was too.
yeah, he thought he was too. And then he found another transmission. So what's this one out of?
This one's out of a 91 S10 with a small block 350.
No.
It wasn't stock, that's what the guy had in it.
Oh, it had a small block in it?
Yeah.
Oh, but
He had a souped up little S10.
it was a 4.3 truck originally, right?
Originally, yeah.
So this is not that one. That's later. This one is the S10 transmission. Was originally behind a 4.3, then a 350. It came out of a running driving truck. So he got that. What'd you have to give for it?
$240.
That's a pretty good deal, as long as it works. So this time, we're not going to have anybody look inside it. We're just going to put it in the truck. Because this guy seemed a little more reliable than the last one.
And he swore up and down that if I had any problems, bring it back and give me my money back.
Yeah, so we'll see if that happens. Hopefully not. You already tried the driveline in it, right?
Yeah, the driveline fits.
The stock driveline out of the pickup fits. The splines are good. Lengthwise, we don't know. We won't know until we get it in there and try it. Because when we got this one home, the old one was already gone. So we couldn't compare the two. So Wyatt and his buddies already got the automatic out, obviously. He pulled the carpet up to find where we should cut the hole for the floor. He pulled the carpet out to figure out where we should cut the hole for the carpet.
For the shifter. There we go.
We need to cut a hole for the shifter, not for the carpet. And here's what we found. Let's get a closer look. It's your classic can of worms scenario. There's a little rust in the floorboard. And maybe going into the rocker?
No.
Yeah. That's okay. Like I told him, his mom drove a 75 Blazer that had a hole big enough that she could spit her gum out through it going down the highway. And she enjoyed the hell out of that truck for a long time. So it's not insurmountable. It's just not something we were planning on right now. That's almost fixed. Wait for it. Yeah. That other one does kind of look like a bullet hole. That would be a big bullet, though. 12,
Well, look underneath
12 gauge, maybe.
Looks like a slug. Look underneath it. It's like mushroomed on the backside.
That's not good. Oh, yeah.
This is one of the vehicles that Bonnie and Clyde had.
I don't think this is Bonnie or
think it
Clyde's
was.
vehicle. That's a Wasp. Not anymore.
Hey, you just...
He like two
The trans tunnel is the cleanest part of this entire truck.
Well, it was.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
That's because it's a high point. The water has to run down. Now the floorboard's fixed.
Yeah.
All right.
long
We'll
as you
just
don't put a
shut
light
this
on it.
door and try to forget about it. So, today, Wyatt and I are going to try and put in the manual transmission that doesn't belong in this truck.
Putting in a clutch that doesn't belong to this truck.
Yep. And see if we can't make it work. Oh, and the pedal. So you still got the pedal out of the 97 that you got. We may or may not be collecting manual transmissions.
This one's mine.
Okay. So this one came out of a 96. This is, from what I've read, 97. Same thing.
No.
Basically the same thing. From what I've read and watched, putting the pedal in is the most pain in the butt part of this process. The clutch parts, the clutch kit, and the hydraulics are all for the S10. And then the flywheel is for an 84 C10 to make sure that we got the earlier bolt pattern for the back of the engine. The later ones had a one-piece rear main seal, so they had a smaller bolt pattern. That's something we had to do a lot of reading online to make sure we had the right thing, and then do some measuring on what we had. So, we're going to set the camera up and get this truck back up in the air and get to work and see how far we can get today. I don't have as long as I'd like to have today to work on this, but theoretically, it should be plenty of time.
I didn't tell you, but we have to have it done by May 4th before you guys leave.
May 4th.
Yeah.
Why?
Because this is where I'm taking the problem.
What do you think, Hound Dog? Are you excited about this one? We got a little stump wag. Oh, he stopped. Are you excited? Want to say hi to the camera? Huh? Hand me that pedal and let's just see what it looks like when we cram it up in here. Just jam it up in there.
A little close to the brake pedal though.
It's fine. It's good enough for who it's for.
Maybe these used to be burnouts.
So, I mean, we really need this about there.
Really?
Well, side to side, that's about where it needs
Oh.
to be. But back against the firewall, which is a problem because there's a fuse block in the way.
I was wondering if that was going to be a problem.
What we should do is go look at your brother's truck, since it's got a clutch in it that GM put there, because that'll help us. I believe there's going to be a dimple. This is our situation. We got a bunch of stuff in the way. Because the brake pedal rod comes through right here on the master cylinder, right? So it should be somewhere right around over yonder way. Let's go look at your brother's and see what it looks like.
In the rain.
This is where it's helpful. What the hell is that?
What? Oh, it's silly string.
Who did that?
One of Chesney's friends at college.
Chesney's friend at college? I'm not impressed. So Maverick's truck had the man pedal from the factory.
Might you have to get a smaller brake pedal?
We can just cut that one off. I mean, the right way to do it is to get a smaller brake pedal, but we're just with the death wheel. So
Why is his brake cylinder smaller?
his is Hydro Boost,
Mine's not.
which is a different style. Yeah, it runs off power steering pressure. So
that's why that day when I blew the line off it, I didn't have steering or brakes.
right. So this is his clutch master.
Yes. Where does his line run? It goes to the slave.
It's this hard line down here. Did you get a line too?
No, because they didn't know which one I was supposed to get.
Yeah, this
And then when
clutch
you
pedal
go-
is going to be the pain in the butt. I wish I had room to put this inside.
Huh?
I said I wish I had room to put this inside for comparison. Oh yeah, the bracket on this mounts way up in the top.
What do you mean? Like where all my stuff's in the way?
No, because your fuse block should be in the same place. Okay. You can see the orientation on it is going to be... The orientation on this, so there's the firewall, and the fuse, or the clutch pedal is mounted almost completely horizontal, like in the roof of the firewall area. Yeah. Ooh, he's got brake fluid leak too. Anyway, that's another problem for another day. You want to look at this, Wyatt, so you see what I'm talking about?
Oh, his is way up there.
Yeah. And then the rod, the push rod from the pedal is the only thing that goes straight forward. I don't want to completely destroy this bracket, but also I almost think we could zip this top off and it would fit better.
But then how are we going to bolt it in?
Drill through here. I think that this is where your clutch master is supposed to bolt up to, actually.
On that truck?
Go grab your master cylinder. I don't know if this is second or third problem now, but... So this is for the S10.
Yeah. All the clutch parts are for S10.
This is for a C1500.
Yes.
And we may want a different master.
Why?
We may want the one for the
For a 97.
for the pedal, assuming we can get the pedal to go in there. Yeah, I don't know whether we should cut that.
What's our other option?
I don't know. Find a different pedal out of a square. The pedal out of a square would be the ideal thing.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're getting harder and harder to find because we want one. I don't know if the pedals are different for hydraulic. They're probably not. Maybe they are. Yeah, that's the question. Is how far do we go with this pedal setup, modifying it and making it fit before we just say we need a square body pedal? Because this just doesn't fit up in there, and a square body pedal would. It would slide right in there. So I'm not sure it's worth the effort to make this pedal fit. If we can find one and people don't want an arm and a leg for it. I was a little concerned about this, but I wanted to see it before I said it wouldn't work. Okay, so it looks like, so this is where the starter rides. And Wyatt just pointed out these two holes, those look like they match up with that. I don't know, I don't think it goes inside. I think it has to be outside, probably along the side of the engine, and then this goes through like so. Or probably flipped over, because this is going to be against the side of the engine. And then it's going to push this out, which should actuate.
Is release cylinder the same as the slave cylinder?
Probably.
Because this is showing that this one has a release fork.
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm thinking. We're missing a shift fork. Because it should ride on here.
Yeah.
This rod should push on it and rock it to activate your, yeah,
So I need a shift fork.
to activate your throw-out bearing.
Let me find a piece of cardboard and I'll start making.
So this, yeah. Yep, that's okay. That's how it has to work.
You need a shift
That's how it
fork.
has to work.
Yeah,
So we
you
need
knew that the
a,
whole time, right?
huh?
You knew that the whole time.
I knew it the whole time.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm a trained
You just
professional.
wanted me to get the knowledge.
I want you to learn in this process. We need a shift fork.
For a 91S10?
Yes. And preferably a pedal for a square body. And yeah, then we can put it together.
What years did you say? 85 and 91?
I think we'll have to look it up, but I think they started hydraulic in 85 or 86.
Truck parts! Which side
got-
goes to the motor?
Well, look at it. What do you think?
This side should be out.
Right.
Because
Is
you want
that
your
your-
teeth as close to the motor, right?
That's your clutch surface. Now, some people say you should machine that even though it's brand new.
How do you go about machining it?
You take it to a place to have it machined.
Would you do that?
I don't know.
Like machine these surfaces?
Yeah, just to make sure it's perfectly flat.
Have you ever done a 5-speed swap or new flywheel and all that?
No, this is my first time for all this.
So you don't know if it's actually doing it or not.
Yeah. In theory, that should be flat and true because they just made this part.
Right. The only way I know to check if something's flat is take like a piece of soapstone or something and run it across it. And then if you have one spot that's clean, it means you have high spots. But I don't want to do that on a brand new flywheel.
What you're concerned about side to side and all the way across more than just a dip here, a dip there.
Oh, so you make sure it's not like a Pringle.
Yeah. I mean, it should be good. And you're not going to see it by laying a straight edge on it because you're talking about thousandths of an inch. I think with Mavericks, we just put it on.
What if it's not completely true? What does that mean?
I think it shatters. The clutch does weird stuff. Like I said, with Mavericks, I think we just stuck it on there because I hadn't read that yet.
So you just had to read it to freak me out?
Yeah.
Good job, you did.
You're welcome. So, we're just sticking it on there.
Yep.
We'll get that up on there. We'll clean our hands before we handle it. We'll get it up there and put it on, and then we'll hit it again with brake clean to make sure it's clean before we're done, before we put the clutch on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to need to clean out the inside of that,
Of the tranny?
of the back of the crank. So grab a piece of like that emery paper. This has never had anything in it probably. So we just want to get all the crud out and make sure we've got a smooth surface. Because if we've got crud in there and we start stacking it up by driving it in there, it may not seat all the way. Might want to grab some brake clean and we'll just With your face. Must have a cut in my eye. Burns. Which way does this go? I'm going to guess the flat side goes against the back and the taper side goes out because the tapered side is going to accept your transmission input.
It'll make it easier to slide in.
Right. Alright, so we need something to tap that in with.
You think Loctite tastes good?
I'll bet it doesn't. I want something kind of soft. You won't booger up the end of that.
An air hammer?
Yep. I'm thinking maybe the end of this hammer handle. Or I don't think that's gonna start it. Maybe. I think the right tool is probably like a wood drift or a brass drift.
What's
I don't
a
have
brass
that.
drift?
Oh, I just kicked my pile of dirt. I think it's going in. Grandpa and I did a clutch on my dart. We didn't do the pilot bearing. I didn't know that was a thing. And it ended up having to come back out.
How long after you put it in?
Like, very soon. There was chattering all over the place.
So is that kind of rule of thumb? If you pull the tranny, is it good to replace pilot bearing?
I mean, if the other stuff's worn enough to merit replacement, then yeah, I would replace the pilot bearing. This, because we're going from automatic to manual, automatic
Never
doesn't
had
have
in
that.
the first place.
Yeah.
Did you say snake oil?
Yeah. You ever heard of snake oil?
No.
What they used to sell in the Old West that would fix all your ailments.
What's an ailment?
Illness or whatever's bothering you. Cures what ails you.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
All right, clutch.
No, that's not tight enough. You just, oh, I kind of, no. Go get the impact. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat.
We gotta make sure we do it right. We want it to go whoop pow, not boom bang, boom bang.
Okay. It's not a Honda, so I don't think you should make any of those noises. Look at that! Well, you don't throw stuff away. So it says flywheel side right here. You probably can't see it, but it does, trust me. And then this kit didn't come with an alignment tool. But luckily I had one in my toolbox.
Because it's hoarding until you reuse something that you kept and then it's useful.
Yes, so not hoarding. Alright, and then we just put the, oh, we probably need to clean the pressure plate too. The clutch surface, the smooth part. So spray it down with this and wipe it off with a clean rag.
On the pressure plate?
Yeah.
The side that goes against the flywheel?
Yes.
Yeah, rain's really coming down, eh?
Yeah, eh? You from Canada, eh?
Eh?
Loser. Man, so hard to find good help.
I know, right? I'm trying to get this tranny put in for weeks.
Yeah, you should have got an automatic that fit the thing.
Remember what I told you?
What?
I am not letting you talk me out of a manual again.
Okay. So every problem we encounter, I want you to remember that this is what you wanted.
It is what I wanted.
You wanted this.
You wanted this chaos.
It's going to be worth it.
Drop a gear and disappear. Just kidding, it's a 305.
Ah. Hound dog, what are you doing, buddy?
Are you scared? Is that rain scaring you, buddy? You're fine. We're hound dog. Hound dog. Oh, you gonna help us?
Buddy.
You gonna help us with the truck? Is that rain so scary on the metal building? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the biggest wuss dog you've ever seen. That's to the front of that. 15.5 to the engine. 15 3/8. It's 4 inches across, so we'll make it 4.5. So we're going to be about, ouch, even with this scratch. I'll clean that up a little. Hold that, hound. So 15.25 from the top center of the engine, and then we're going to be eyeballing this a little bit. See if we got it in the center of the Trinidera here. How's that going to work? That's going to work like it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Don't look any dumber, any stupider than you normally do. It's too low. It looks real close. When I look at it with the eye-chrometer says, yeah, she's pretty good. Oh, not if I close that. If I close that eye, it's good. If I close that eye, it's not good. I don't know how. Watch your toes, buddy. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a genius, but it could be argued. Why don't you? What is happening here? Are you scared, buddy? I don't understand. Are you doing the opposite magnet things? Is that what's happening? So you won't both work at the same time? Ouch! Oh, no. This magnet's super gooder. What the? You're supposed to hold on to stuff. I think that magnet's giving me a good idea where square off the clutch is. So that should be center. So this should be center of the front. Double check my width. I hate cutting holes. Just accept that it's not going to be perfect. If you can accept that it's not going to be perfect, you can keep moving. It's not going to be perfect. It'd be a lot easier if this wasn't all round under here. I don't really have a short enough straight edge to do this the way I really want to do it. Hey, how come you knocked over my camera? What do you have to say for yourself? So I don't know when Hound knocked over the camera, but I got my square marked under here to cut. I used the big square, the little square, a marker, tape measure. We'll see how this goes. We'll slide under there and show you what I got. Hound. So here's our square. Hopefully the light is actually showing it here. That should be real close. I cut it tighter, or I marked it tighter than I probably need to, because I can always cut it bigger. And if I have to cut it bigger, We want to make this hole as small as I can and still have it clear the transmission and leave room for it to move a little bit. So we're going to start small and then we'll adjust as necessary. Best I can tell, it is square to the engine. So it should be square to the transmission. So we're going to drill some holes in the corners and then probably go up top and cut it with a cutoff wheel or a recip saw or something like that. So let's see what happens. We'll get this guy out and hopefully he'll get us to the corners. Concerned about that being straight.
What did you do?
You were right to be worried about that being straight.
Oh, God! Dude, that is way off to the right.
That's the center of the truck, or the center of the engine. Near as I can tell. You don't want to do it.
You right? Now I have an excuse to be angry. God, look at that janky cut. What? It's flush on my side.
Is it?
We're completely against it.
Okay, snug that bolt down.
I already did.
Okay. Actually, it's flush on my side too.
So does that mean tranny's in?
That means tranny is in. Alright, let's go look at our shifter location. We're going to have to come this way a little. Yeah.
Is the body hitting it?
Yeah. I mean, we're just barely touching. You can see it's right here.
Yeah.
So, but we want to leave room for if it needs to rock a little bit.
Right.
So.
Maybe cut 1/2 inch.
Yeah, and we can make it a circle if we want, so that we're not taking any more than we absolutely have to.
I say just keep it square.
Okay.
Because if you made it a circle, you'd have to make this side a circle too.
Well, this should, hopefully it'll all be under a boot when we're done.
Yeah, but I'm gonna know that one side's a circle and one isn't.
Yeah. There's some sharp edges here.
Oh.
And we don't know, shoot.
Huh?
I guess that didn't hurt anything, but we don't know that the back of this transmission is where it needs to be.
Like side to side, up and down?
Yeah, it might move over 1/2 inch.
Oh well.
That was dumb. First, second, third, fourth. Uh-oh, there's no fifth.
That's 5th right there.
That's probably reverse.
Oh, he's gonna test drive the shit out this.
Done. It's gone. Blew up.
Blew it up. too much throttle. It's just a 3500, not a 4500.
Too much power.
We should see if that Jew joint's going to go in as long as we're this close.
What Jew joint?
On the back. See if she's just going to slide into the rear axle. It kind of looked like it was going to be pretty close.
Pretty close.
How much still in the trans?
I don't know. You got about 1.5 inches out.
I'd run it. See if we get a vibration. It'll either work or it won't.
She'll go or she'll blow.
Yeah.
Yep.
This little filler, I mean, it's sticking out obviously a little further than out of the 700. Let's do this. Let's clean that.
Clean what?
That drive line right there. Mark it or tape it.
What am I laying on?
So that we can see for sure how much we've got in the transmission. I think we're going to be fine, but
Well, you know.
it'll be easier to see when it's out.
You know till you don't, you know.
What?
Yep. Where's your tape?
It's up on the bench. Are you going to go get it or what? Idiot.
I'm cameraman.
Yeah, cameraman, go get the tape. This is your truck. Why am I the one doing all the getting up?
Because Devin or Ricardo wasn't here to make them do it? Where'd you take that?
Hanging up where it belongs. I did a crazy thing and put it away. So we got a little tape on there so we can see how much we've got actually inside the transmission once we pull this out. Make sure it looks like it's okay. I just messed up my tape.
Oh, dude, we had a lot in there.
Well, I just peeled it back some too, but oh yeah, I think we're good.
Couple of inches.
Line right there, yeah. I'm not worried about that. We're gonna pull that out. We're gonna run that drive shaft. All right, let's get this transmission back out of here.
Caring for your truck, buddy.
Listen, why am I the one doing all the work on your truck?
Because you're the experienced one. And you love me.
Both of those might be overstatements. Okay, so Wyatt went to the junkyard and got the right pedal set up for a square body. This is brake and clutch come together, and it should almost just bolt in. Maybe drill 1 hole, 2 holes, and this will go right in. Cost him how much? Like 35 bucks at the junkyard. You buy that from a square body guy, it's going to be $100, $200. And he got the right master cylinder just for comparison. He's still going to put a new one on it. Had to go get a clutch fork because we didn't have one. We missed the mark on the first one. Parts guy gave us the wrong one. But this one looks like it's going to pivot right. The slave cylinder throw is going to be straight out. This rod's straight out. Before it was like up here. And then rides on a little pivot right here. And it'll move the throwout bearing in and out to disengage and engage the clutch. So Wyatt's going to get that assembled, and then we're going to put this thing back in.
Oh, man. Alright. Let the fun begin. So, let the record show. I have no idea what I'm doing. Just kind of going off how I did it in the junkyard, which the one in the junkyard had no steering column along with pretty much no dash in it. So I'm just going to assume that that's going to make it easiest to do. And if it doesn't make it easier, I'll always think it should have. Would you look at that? 10mm, Dad, in the cab of the truck. Overheat. Low on oil. Battery go boom. Yeah, I really shouldn't have taken that apart. I just like, ta-da! Nothing happened. Alright, so I got that bolt out of the steering shaft. And all you gotta do is pop this off one way or another. Well, it's off far enough it'll slide out whenever I pull the steering shaft, in theory. So now, still not 100% sure what we need to do here. Because currently, I am fighting with this big jungle of wires. Don't know what to take out and what to leave. So I'm kind of just thinking, send it and pull it out. Start cutting wires if they get in my way. Yeah.
No.
So after fighting with it for about 10 or 15 minutes, I went in and watched a video and realized that there's 2 bolts in the engine bay. One right here, you can kind of see, and there's one on the other side. And from the video, they said that they were 5/8, and you pull those off, and then it should pull out enough on the inside for me to disconnect some of those wires. So I'm going to do that and we'll find out. Alright, so I got those bolts in the engine bay off. Now, and I put these 2 nuts back on here because that video I watched said that this is probably one of the last things you should do. Because as I was taking that clamp off, I had these nuts off and it started to fall. So I just put those hand tight on there just to hold it up. So now I'm going to take those nuts off, and it'll give me enough room to pull the steering column out and unhook anything I may need to. And then, oh crap! Alright, you just hope you can see. And pull. Start ripping at it until it comes off. So you just keep ripping on it, and eventually, ooh, what was that? I'll go investigate. Oh no, motor's not on the truck! What were you? Where'd you go? Found it. Don't worry. Whole bunch of plugs up yonder ways. Wow. All I've successfully done right now is put this in my way. It's fine. It's fine. Wow, that's a lot of wires. Is that a rod? What are you doing there? You're not supposed to be here. Don't know if you got the memo, but I got a 5-speed. Learning moment. Another thing that I forgot about. That little rod is my shift linkage for the automatic. In case you didn't hear it before, we don't need that anymore. Ta-da! Uno cotter pin. That's gonna fall in there at some point. Ta-da! Anyone needs a pristine shift linkage for a 86 Chevrolet with a 700 R4, it'll be in the dump in about a week.
Some meatloaf!
That's too hot to yell. Okay. Professional terror reporter. So we're back for the second day in a row, but today hopefully I'll get a little more done because I have everyone's favorite.
My name is Ricardo and I'm playing as Ricardo.
And to start, we're going to take the 4 bolts or 4 nuts that are holding on the brake booster. That way we can pull those studs through the firewall and hopefully pull the pedals out without any trouble. Alright, so after a good bit of try, finally got all 6 of these bolts off to the master cylinder brake booster? Yeah, to the brake booster. So now we have to go inside underneath the dash. One last thing, I think, before we're able to pull this out, and that's disconnect the push rod on the brake pedal that's actually going to the booster, and in theory should pop out. So we'll find out. What do you say?
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, so we got the brake booster seat free. As you can see here, it's completely off the truck. I have it hanging up on a homemade sling, patented, Wyatt Jones, 2022.
Ricky Bobby.
And then in here, I don't know what he's tearing apart, but all it was that little rod that had a cotter pin in it. Pull that cotter pin out, pop it off, and you're good to go. So now I believe it's just a matter of finagling the pedals enough to get them out. And I don't think I have any more bolts, but we're about to find out. Good Lord, look at that rat's nest. Oh, that's going to be fun to plug back in. Alright, so we got the pedals pulled out of the truck, and I went ahead and put them on tailgate and switched over the original electric connections from the brake pedal to the brake and clutch pedal. There was a little box right here, this one, that was on the manual pedals, but it was not on the original, so I'm not going to put it on because I don't think I need it. Might find out the hard way. So now we get to drill holes for the master cylinder, which I don't know if you can see, but the firewall is actually pre-dimpled. You can maybe see it a little bit. So all we got to do is mark those on the other side and drill them out. So I went ahead and marked out the dimples that were already on the firewall with a black Sharpie, so maybe they'd be easier to see. You got 3 dots. The middle one's going to be where the main body of your master cylinder goes in. And the other 2 are just bolt holes. So I'm going to find out what size they are, get my drill ready, and hopefully not screw it up. Bingo. Alright, so I got my new master cylinder here. And through the generous donation of my father and his toolbox, I now have a digital caliper.
What?
So I'm going to use this to find out exactly how big around this is, even though it probably says in the instruction manual. But who reads that? Alright, we got a 1.07 inches, 1 5/64. I believe I have a 1 1/8 hole saw. That'll give me enough wiggle room to make me happy. Happy. Zeroed out. I'm going to find these. 13 32nds. We'll drill those ones at 1/2 inch. Yeah, sounds right. It's not right, but it'll work. Start drilling holes in the truck. Now, if I did it right, which I doubt, it should work. Through here. How are we looking? I see 1 hole, I see 2 hole.
See it right there.
Alright, now just gotta find out what I'm gonna do for hardware because they did not send any with it. Right on. Alright, so I didn't get good video of us putting it in because it's almost time for me to go inside, and I really wanted to get this mounted up tonight. But long story short, we got the pedals in. No real issues other than just getting it under the dash in the first place. We got the two nuts on the other side of the firewall on and tightened down. Now all we got to do is put in our new studs in the two empty holes. Got our master cylinder bolted up and connected. All I got to do is get a cotter pin for it. We're going to come back tomorrow and hook up electrical and finish hooking up the push rod for the brakes. And then, like I said, I already got all that tightened down, so really tomorrow should go pretty smooth. All we got to do is pretty much finish it. Yeah, just finish it. That easy.
Did you really just say that?
500 years later.
Oh, yay.
Alright, tell me what's going on.
Well, I know I didn't get video of it, but truck's back together now. Pretty big jump. But pretty much everything that I have video of me taking apart, just reverse it and put it back together, obviously. Now we're attempting to bleed the clutch line. I got, finally after, I think 3 or 4 different clutch lines, I finally got the right one. So now we're trying to bleed it for the second time, because the first time we tried it, the push rod came out of the master cylinder, so we had to take that out and fix it, and pretty much ruined everything we did because we lost all pressure. So now we got the master cylinder back on, and then we're going to continue to bleed it.
Shebang, shebang, it's in there. Yeah, it's on the right side now.
Go lay down.
Hi, yay.
Yay.
Hey,
Get it on pedal.
working on it. Ain't got no gas in it. Ah, can't see.
Oh my god, you're using these license plates as floorboards?
No.
Temporary.
Yeah, so I'll give him some for Christmas.
Temporary.
Alright, I'm about to crack it open. Ready?
Yep.
Open. Yep.
We got line? Or we got fluid?
Yeah, we got.
Okay, close it. Close it.
Yeah, she's close.
Alright, now we can bleed it from up top. So now, all you do is you take a piece of hose that you got brake fluid all over that you're going to put your mouth on. The little fitting on the end that'll fit down in the hole at the bottom of your reservoir. And all you're going to do is put it in and suck.
No, you suck.
And you'll get fluid and air bubbles. Air bubbles is what you want, but you're going to get fluid too.
In your mouth?
No, you spit it out before that.
I taste clay.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you want bubbles?
Because you won't be able to build enough pressure for your clutch and you'll get spongy feel. And then you just keep doing this until you can go like 5 to 10 times without getting any bubbles.
Oh yeah.
So that method of bleeding the clutch system worked great on Maverick's truck when we were struggling with it. So Wyatt got in there and he was blowing bubbles or sucking bubbles. I don't think either one of those is good. Anyway, it didn't work. So he went out and bought a $50 vacuum bleeder, tried that, couldn't get it to work. I think a big part of the problem is we had to go buy a hydraulic line that is way longer than what we actually need. That's this guy. Because on a square body truck, the master and slave are both on the driver's side. On the S10, the slave is on the passenger side. So that hose has to go down and under and connect to the other side. So this hose is longer than what we needed. It's got a couple ups and downs in it. We were having a heck of a time getting the bubbles out of it. And what we ended up doing is, of course, watching YouTube videos, and these guys said, oh, just take the master cylinder off and bench bleed it and elevate the front of the master cylinder, otherwise you'll never get all the bubbles out of it. And I thought, well, I don't want to take it all back off because then we still got to get it all out of the lines. And all they were doing was pressing that pedal and releasing it, pressing it and releasing it with the master cylinder elevated. So I don't know if the camera is going to accurately represent it, but we've got a little bit of an uphill into the shop here, and because we were so frustrated and we've been working on it for so long at that point, we didn't have the camera on, but we put ramps on the concrete at the high point going into the shop, drove the truck up onto the ramps, and then just pumped that pedal and released it hard and fast, and we kept getting bubbles up into the master cylinder. Did that with the cap off the whole time, and eventually we got good pedal. I don't know. But it worked, and we didn't have to take it off the truck to do it. So let's go over the numbers on this swap, because I am super, super excited about how cost effective it ended up being. Now, granted, I know it's an NV3500. It's not the transmission that everybody wants. It's not the 6-speed. It's not the NV4500 that's real heavy duty and near indestructible. But it's probably good enough to go behind a carbureted 305 and a half-ton truck as long as he doesn't beat on it. Yeah, as long as he doesn't beat on it. So here's what we got. First, he started out, bought that parts truck. We talked about that. That cost him $200. Because he used my 8.1 to go to another state to go get it, that cost him another $250 in fuel. Then he sold the engine alone for $400. I think he got $1.25 for scrap. Actually, I didn't add that in. So without the scrap, he came out $50 in the hole. New transmission from the S10 was $240. Pedals from a junkyard were $25. That was stealing them. Clutch kit, brand new, $100. Flywheel and miscellaneous bolts, brand new, about $80. Clutch master and slave cylinders, both brand new, $60. The line was $50. That's that long one. I think we got it on Amazon. The clutch fork was $15. Fluid was $20. Vacuum bleeder was $50, which actually we could have done without had we known what we were doing. Transmission mount was bad, so we replaced it from the automatic. That was $20. Rear seal on the new manual was $10. Bring down our $50 loss. That put us at grand total. Drum roll, please. Drum roll.
No.
Drum roll. Of 660. Now, he hauled away the scrap from that truck, and I just remembered it as I was recording this, and I want to say he got $125 for that. So some of that was my junk, though. So let's say that's going to bring us down to $535. That is not... Don't worry about that. That's not bad. $535 for a manual transmission swap in your square body. Now, it took him a long time. A long time. The work on that was probably spread out over the course of a month. That's actual work. Now, getting the parts truck, finding out we had a failure there, reevaluating, looking at automatic transmissions, that was probably another month. But the actual total work time was about a month, just working on it in his days off. I'm super impressed not only that he was able to get it done that cheap, because I really didn't think that was going to happen, but also that him and his buddies were able to figure out most of it. I did very little to help them. An extra set of hands here and there, helping them do research because I hadn't done it before either. So this is one of those, let's dig in there and figure it out, and I'm glad we were able to. It was simpler than I expected, even though there were some challenges along the way.
We officially put a 5-speed in a truck that's never had it.
And never was intended to.
Never was intended to. Didn't want to have one. Fought us the entire way. But
It's
drove
got
up
one.
here under its own power and stopped under its own power.
Yeah, we did have to take a side road and put brakes all the way around on it.
Yeah.
And
Had to do brakes.
rear seal in the trans.
Yeah, I just did the rear seal.
Replace some lights, fix some wiring to make it pass inspection.
Yeah, so everything should be good. I just put the license plate light in.
Ooh, that's
That'll pass.
crunchy. We'll have to look into that later. So what do you think's the next step for this thing?
Well, first thing, after I get it aligned, inspected, and registered, first thing it's getting is a bath. In 17 years? It's first bath in 17 years.
Yeah?
And then, I don't know.
Don't know what happens after that?
No. Fix what breaks and start thinking about what'll look cool. I know the next big thing we're doing on it is probably get a whole new paint job.
That's the next big thing?
The next biggest thing.
Oh.
There's still a couple little things, like I need to figure out speedometer cable. I need to figure out fuel gauge. Temp gauge still doesn't work.
Okay.
Probably figure that out before I run it into town tomorrow.
Yeah, temp gauge would be a good thing to have. Alright, well I guess that's it for this week. If you like what we're doing, click like, subscribe, comment down below if you've got a better way to do what we've been doing or something that we should do in the future to this truck. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And until next time, remember, if we can do it, if he can do it, anybody can do it.